This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2022 season and edition of Lady
Hello
Raiders.
there. How are
Hi,
you doing, Miss
Heidi.
Peggy?
Just fine this week. I've spared myself a lot of pain by not checking out after the Raiders game and not checking back in until the next day. So I had some chance to think about it. Reflect.
I avoided social media after the game, and I have to say that it made for a much more pleasant remainder of a Sunday.
Yes, it did. And I can't tell you how many people. How you doing, Captain?
Well, first off, thank you, ladies. It's always wonderful to be in the presence of the amount of knowledge and enthusiasm that y'all have. And I said, when we have a ladies' night with the silver and black ladies out there, DC, Wench, and Kevlar prom dress, it makes me feel good because I know, in spite of what happened, me viewing the debacle, there wasn't really a debacle, but we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
Live, I know that I got every other week, I get a chance to hang out with y'all and we're going to go things over and we're going to be analytical about it. And I'm going to let y'all, because this is ladies' night with y'all, and I'm going to be just as needed because I want everybody to know how much y'all know, which is awesome.
Well, I'm just going to start it right out by asking Heidi to start talking about what she felt were the three reasons why we lost that game. And if you have more, let me know.
The first interception, the second interception, and the third interception.
And the book is complete.
No, I definitely think that Carr's overall pathetic performance was the key to the game. He certainly wasn't the only factor. But for his performance, though, I do think the Raiders would have come out on top. I don't think that he's the worst quarterback in the history of the universe. I think he'll be able to snap out of it and return to his winning ways. So I'm not going to go on him too hard because I know he's being harder on himself than any of the fans are, which is hard to believe because the fans are horrible towards him. But his performance was the main factor. The second thing I would say was a huge factor and also contributed to Carr's performance was the offensive line. Dear God, we had Kelechi Osemele come in for a tryout today.
Oh, and let me tell you, he's a step up from the talent level that we have on that line. But please continue.
He has not played a snap since week 5 of 2020.
Hey, I mean, we'll get back to why we think that this is something that could have been recognized. I mean, I saw it right away coming out of preseason, O-line, D-line. But you were giving us your reasons?
And third fact was lack of pressure from the middle of the D-line. Crosby was chirping and he was present. And even PFF gave him credit. He had like a 92 something rating. But Chandler Jones disappeared and the middle of the line was non-existent. They were run stuffers and they got no pressure on the quarterback at all. So those are the three things that I can point to immediately that were the biggest downfalls for the Raiders.
Yeah, coming into the game, I thought that the Raiders had to do two things really well. They had to run the football, and I'm not talking about, nickel and dime stuff. I thought that they had to dominate the game by running the ball, and you do this because you got a guy like Herbert on the other side, and you really don't want him on the field. The second thing the Raiders had to do was to put pressure on Herbert, not just run chasing him around, but they had to actually sack Herbert. And those things did not happen. I thought that those were the keys that we did not do. But reasons why we lost, of course, Carr's poor performance. And let me also say that people have commented all over the network, the social media, about the fact that offense has never played together. That was their first performance all on the field at the same time. There's something to be said for whether you ought to play your starters in preseason. We can get into that. But Carr's performance looked like a guy that wasn't really ready to play. The second thing I have to look at as the reason we lost is the game plan. I said the game plan had that we had to run the football. I thought that's why we kept 5 running backs on the roster. I don't understand Daniel's game plan at all in terms of the offense. I don't understand why there wasn't the kind of screen passing that was going on in the preseason where you keep that line, that Charger front line with Mack, Bosa, really pressing front line off balance. I kind of didn't understand what was going on. And of course, the third reason and the fourth reason is the O-line, the O-line, the O-line. I just cannot understand. You work hard to make Leatherwood look so bad in preseason that you get rid of them, but you don't pay attention to what else is wrong with your line. And oh, by the way, we still don't have a right tackle.
That's right. I mean, they split snaps between Illuminor and Munford. And while I think that Munford, definitely has potential and he might be the answer in the future, he's a rookie. He's brand new. He's not the answer now. And Illuminor, he's up and down. He has good games. He has bad games. He was nothing significant on Sunday. I mean, other than being a small speed bump.
And one thing that somebody just made a comment about, but we have to say with certainty, Carr is the kind of quarterback that is not going to be able to play behind a line like that. He has got to have protection. He's one of many quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, I wanted to also veer off and talk about the criticism of Carr, the constant criticism about his inability to run when he sees there are no options. Heidi, have you heard that comment around?
I have heard a little bit of that, over the last 9 years. It sounds vaguely familiar. And the thing is, he's not a running quarterback. And he never will be a running quarterback, but
Never.
he still should be able to take a step up in the pocket and either fire something away, even if it's not to a player. Don't take the sack.
I mean,
throw it out of bounds.
Now, I know you couch quarterbacks and you couch potato coaches have all said, oh, he should have pulled it down and he should have run. That's if you have those kind of instincts. Carr is by nature a very cautious guy. He's not necessarily athletic. He's not going to see the running lanes that we see sitting in on our nice comfy couches watching several camera angles. He's not looking for running lanes. He's looking to pass the ball. And as you said, he's got to find a way to either get it out there quicker, or he's got to find a way to start seeing a way out. And I'm telling you, our red zone issues, we've been through 3 set coaches and God knows how many offensive coordinators. The red zone issues remain. There's only one constant. And now I have to say that Carr's inability to run, to give options in that red zone are definitely hurting our scoring chances, touchdown chances in that zone. I don't know how to say it more plainly, that somebody has to teach him. He didn't learn from Olsen, Musgrave, right? Downing. He didn't learn it under Gruden. It's him. It's him. And I think that's what a lot of people are talking about, is he doesn't give you that second dimension. And because of that.
Now, Ed Winchell, that is quite a statement. If the Raiders had Geno Smith, we would have won. If the Raiders had Geno Smith, who played last night, we would have won. And you know what? I have to say, Carr is not going to see those lanes, like you said. But I will say on that 4th and 8, that last play that we had, before we really blew our chance, 4th and 8, the field was wide open for Carr. There was no lane to run in. It was just green grass, and he still didn't go. He still managed to get sacked.
His instincts aren't there. Yeah. They're just not, and they're never going to be there. And if we're going to spend the next 16 games and the rest of his career as a Raider talking about what he doesn't do, okay, it's going to make for a miserable season. I just think that if he has those skills, and now would be the time to show him, especially with the O-line being in trouble like it is. Now, I wanted to also give it to you to start giving some grades. And the first grade, first unit I want to talk about is the secondary, corners and safeties. What are you giving for the game?
The secondary, the entire defense was a tale of 2 halves. It really was. The secondary had, I would give them a C+. They had their moments where they C+ or B-. They had their moments where they definitely failed, but there were some times where they really came up big. And Nate Hobbs just had a monster of a game. He made some big plays, 9 tackles, a forced fumble, and some really big stops. And what I'm worried about is the backfield is very banged up.
Right.
Marg is out for this week at least. Hopefully it's not like a season-ending thing. I'm hearing rumors. Hopefully those rumors are wrong because I'm not hearing them from reliable sources, thank God. But
I mean, I really want to say that I agree with you on a C plus. I didn't see the kind of tight coverage, like you said. Hobbs had a great day, but overall, see, what I'm looking for is something called football IQ. I'm looking for anticipation of a play. Players that have the ability to read the guys in front of them, to read what's going on in the backfield for a second. We don't want your head too long in the backfield. And be able to anticipate what's going to happen on that next play. That's not going to be happening all the time, but I'm looking at football IQ. And I still don't see the level of anticipation that I wanted to see. So I agree with you on that C plus. Now let's talk about the linebackers.
Linebackers, yeah, I'll give them
Well, they did stop the run.
yeah, I'll give them a B minus because Austin Eckler, who normally feasts on the Raiders, was held to I think 36 rushing yards.
And
so
yeah, and that's something that was a key for that defense. Linebackers helped a lot, but we lost a few people, didn't we?
Yeah, I heard that
Perryman.
Perryman is banged up. Questionable so far this week. And linebacking core is very thin because the Raiders don't believe in linebackers. This year was the first year in a few years where it seemed like they actually had some players that could play the position. And if you don't have very many of them to begin with, it doesn't take more than one injury to make it thin.
I mean, one of the things that I kept saying over and over again, that we still lack that linebacker that can help out with the pass rush. And I'm going to give them, that unit, a B for shutting down the run, but they don't help on the pass rush. And that gets us to that D-line. D-line. What's your thoughts?
We're including Max Crosby in that, are we?
Mr. I can pressure the quarterback. Yes, you can include Max. Can't sack him, but I can pressure him.
On his performance alone, they've earned a D plus.
Okay.
Otherwise, it wouldn't even be a D.
And I'm telling you, there was absolutely no pressure up the middle whatsoever. And this is what I was afraid of coming out of preseason. You got Ndamukong Suh sitting out there and wondering what he's going to do this year, but yet you don't want to go get him. And as I told people over and over again, a pass rush is about to push up the middle, the two DTs, not the DEs. And if you're going to have any kind of pass rush, you have to have a DT that commands a double team. You have to have one that pressures. I want the pressures to come from the DTs. I need the sacks to come from the DEs. And
that's where the D comes from, because that lack of pressure trickled down through the entire defense.
Of course.
But for that pressure, the other positions would have been rated higher as well. And without that pressure, that's why I'm rating it that hard, because it made such a difference.
And I see everybody talking about how Max got held, Max this. He's really the only threat that the Raiders have. Go back to 2014, 2015, 2016, what was happening to Mac. He was being held because he's the only lineman that if you don't cover him properly, he can cause problems. The Raiders are right back to the same situation. I can't believe that Josh McDaniel settled for a mediocre defensive line performance. Okay, now let's flip it to the other side of the ball and talk about the offensive line. Grade Oh, by the way, I
F.
didn't give my grade. F is
F,
correct for the
yeah.
D line. And the O line, F.
The offensive line is an F.
People were telling me that they kept switching Eli Monor and Mumford
yeah.
in and out at that right tackle position. But nobody was paying it. Go ahead.
They went with 4 different line combinations. They did 6 substitutions. I mean, have you ever heard of that for a week 1 game in the NFL?
What is going on in the mind of Carmen Brasillo? I do not know. But I also know that there is no attention being paid to those guard positions. Simpson is a liability, and I don't care what anybody says about him. They were paying so much attention in the preseason to get rid of Leatherwood, right? Throwing him out there at the right tackle, knowing he's not a tackle, on the right side, knowing that he plays left side. Everybody was so zeroed in on that they didn't see that the rest of your line has issues as well. The guard play, especially on passing downs, is atrocious. I watched Simpson getting driven back at least 5 times right into Carr. I mean, I can't emphasize what has to happen with that line, but I think it's a talent issue.
And you know what? It even seeped into Miller's performance.
Yeah.
You know? Really. He got handled a few times.
Now word comes that our center, Andre James, collapsed on the field or something and was taken off by ambulance with a concussion.
Yeah, concussion protocol now.
I hadn't heard.
I hadn't heard about an ambulance, but I do know that he was being evaluated for a concussion. And they're concerned about it being very serious.
Yeah. And if he's held out, more problems for O-line that's already floundering. And you gave it an F. All right. Running backs, running game.
You know what? I got to give him a solid B. Josh Jacobs, even a B+. I'm grading hard today.
You are.
And I think I probably can't give it an A simply because of lack of opportunities. Josh McDaniels just didn't run the ball. Josh Jacobs, he ran only 10 times. He averaged almost 6 yards per run. You know, the first few runs, he was only getting it, up the field 3 yards. But in the second half, the Chargers' run defense really wasn't able to stop him. And for some reason, McDaniels went away from that and only ran him once in the fourth quarter.
That's why I named game plan as the main reason. Coaching decisions just are horrible. I want to see more of Zamir. I want to see more of Brown. I want to know why you kept 5 running backs and then only ran the ball 13 times. I thought that you were loading up for a run-heavy offense, and here we are in a game that we know we have to keep Herbert off the field. That time of possession is so critical, you only run the ball 13 times. I mean, the logic of that is missing me. If he only used more of his backs, and I'm going to say something about Jacobs, and other people are beginning to see it. Speed, average. Blocking skills, especially in a game like this where the O-line has so many holes, look like fishnet. Blocking abilities, non-existent. Pass catching, mediocre. Vision, no, not there. Why we kept going back to Jacobs. And I know he was getting warmed up and getting better, but I just needed to see more carries, at least 20 to 25 carries in a game like this. And we just didn't see it. And I'm going to give the running game a C. And let's go right to the receivers, one of which was MIA, the other, they didn't find him to the second quarter, and then the other showed out. What's your take on it?
This is another tough one because it's more a lack of opportunity. Carr did throw the ball to 7 different receivers that had completions, but the problem is a few of them only had one pass thrown their way. You know, it was very one-dimensional. Yep, very one-dimensional to Devontae Adams, and then he brought Waller into it a little bit. He did hit Renfro a couple times, but it reminded me a lot of last year's first game where Carr was very focused in on Waller, and
Yeah.
everything was being forced to Waller, and it started to affect Carr's play and made him very temperamental. And the same thing was happening with Adams. He was forcing it into Adams. He got excited. You know, he's like, this is the first time in a decade I'm playing with this dude. You know, I want to force it into Adams, you know. And the thing is, Adams is a fantastic, you know, he's probably the best receiver in the game. So he can make those plays. But the thing is, you need to spread it around. Herbert, he hit 9 different receivers, and none of them had only one reception.
Right.
You know, he got it spread around. Carr was not looking through his progressions. He was only going to Adams. So it's really hard for me to grade the position group based on them not having a chance to play. Really.
I mean, so many factors go into a wide receiver and a quarterback getting rhythm, chemistry. They get their timing down. They know which side to throw the ball, which shoulder to throw the ball over. Those kinds of things. And we've got a brand new offense. Okay. That was the other part that really kind of floored me, that there was no quarters in preseason devoted to this offense at all. And it showed. I've known people have said it a million times. We know Devontae's a great wide receiver. We know Carr likes to throw it to him. But let's face it, by the third, fourth quarter, Carr was back there under siege. Every single play in the face. And I think at that point, he was just trying to get rid of the ball. And whoever was open, and it happened to be Adams, I think that's who got the ball. But Adams is targeted 17 times.
Well, there were other people that were open, and he did not go to them because he didn't go through his progressions. Holmes was open, Renfro was open. There were plenty of times where they were open, and he just didn't go to them because he was hyper focused on Adams, and you know, he will learn from that. You know, he shouldn't have to learn from it. It shouldn't have happened in the first place, but he will move on from it.
And
You know,
mhm.
Mike, Sarah,
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that you really should use the preseason to actually practice, you know, your plays and try to work on being a better team. I think McDaniels used the preseason a lot more than Gruden ever did, but I'm not a big fan of sitting all these starters league wide through the entire preseason. It has turned the regular season first 3 or 4 games into preseason.
Into preseason. That's right.
League wide with every team.
That's right.
You know?
And that's not a development. We want the motor started game 1. We don't want to wait for it to get warmed up to game 4. I mean, who knows what could have happened? Injuries and all kinds of things happen on the way to October. And yet, as someone pointed out there, despite all these things we saw with the Raiders, we only lost by 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's telling of a number of things. We're capable, but we just didn't have the game plan, didn't have the O-line, and our quarterback didn't have the consistency or the accuracy to pull this off. Now, I want to remind everybody, last year, the same thing happened. Chargers beat us by 14 the first time they played us, if you'll remember correctly. And then when they came back, second half of the season, it was, like you said, the tale of 2 halves. We were a different team the second time they came. Talking more about Carr. And of course, I think I know your grade of Carr. I'm going to actually give him a D.
I was going to say a D.
Yeah, not getting hurt. Okay, which is going to happen eventually.
He didn't get hurt, and he did almost break the 300-yard threshold.
Yes, he did.
He had 295 yards, and he did have 2 touchdowns. So it wasn't a complete failure. I put the loss on him as the biggest factor, but I would not give him an F.
No.
I agree with you on that.
And we're looking forward to seeing Carr learn how to play with all the traffic around him, with all the pressure, with all people's in his face. We're looking forward to see him learn. But Raider fans that are out there wishing that he was Lamar Jackson or Holmes, and somebody tried to convince me that Rodgers and Brady were running quarterbacks, were quarterbacks that ran. I mean, when you're in a pocket quarterback, there's 3 things you must have to be successful. If all your dimension is throwing the football downfield: reads, decision-making, and how quick you get rid of that ball. And if you're not doing those things effectively, then of course everyone's focused on, why didn't he run? Why didn't he run? I can't say it enough. He's pocket quarterback first.
Yeah, and they don't focus on that with Rodgers and Brady because they win.
Right.
If they were losing, people would be bringing that up.
Yes, they would. Yeah, well, we could talk all day about Brady and Rodgers, but we have a similar type of quarterback. The problem is that he's never been surrounded by a defense that can stop people from scoring, and now we've got O-line issues, which he really didn't have in the first half of his career. But now
I have to stop here.
Okay.
Leroy Alley. Stidham has more heart. He knows the system. Yeah, he probably does know the system better. I'll give you that.
Right.
But to say that he has more heart than Carr played an entire season with a broken back.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell me that he doesn't have heart?
Not only that, but he still wants to be a Raider after essentially 9 years of mistreatment. All these coaches, all these offensive coordinators coming in here, all the different politics and changes, all the bad things that happened with Gruden and Ruggs last year, and yet he still wanted to be a Raider.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He still wanted to be with this team. And that's more than I can say for a couple of the dearly departed who just all they wanted to do was get the money.
That's one thing I don't question Carr's heart. I question things about his playing ability sometimes and his decision making, but I don't question his heart.
No.
Simple as that.
And
that's not to say Stidham doesn't have heart. He may very well have as much heart as Carr. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not questioning Carr's heart at all. That was just an aside. I saw that. I couldn't let it go.
I know, and it's important. You don't extend a man's contract, sign him to big money, right? $40 million a year, and then turn around and lose confidence in him. I mean, you just don't have that kind of thing going on. This franchise has said he's the starting quarterback until he's not. Okay? Mm-hmm. And he's not going anywhere. We got 1 game, 16 to go. Of course, we hope things get better. like Stidham would be a disaster. But Stidham is not the answer. Okay? Stidham is not the answer. The answer is for Derek to play better.
Yeah.
Okay?
And we have 16 games to go. 16 games and then the playoffs, which I think we're going to be in contention for. It was 1 bad game. Yes, it was a big game to blow.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, we were in it until the very end. And that speaks volumes about the potential of the Raiders team for this season. Really. The fact that after Carr's performance, the Raiders were in it till the very end really says, you know, against a very good Chargers team. The Chargers are a good team. You know, should actually make Raiders fans feel a little positive. That's how I'm choosing to look at it.
And it's not how you play in September and October, it's how you play in November and December. And I've said that over and over again. It's the finishers, the guys that play their best ball down the stretch are the ones that go into the playoffs and then, of course, on to the Super Bowl. And see, all this about Carr playing scared. I don't know too many quarterbacks in the NFL with people in your face every snap that wouldn't develop a little shakiness, a little happy feet. I just don't know many. Okay. Now, is it that way because he doesn't have that running dimension? Possibly.
I think they should not have gone away from the running game, especially in light of the knowing that your quarterback is struggling that day. It was so obvious Carr was struggling. And when that happens, you know, no matter how good the player is, sometimes you got to prop them up with something else. And the running game is that support, and they didn't give it to him.
I'm just mystified. I said it earlier, a man who keeps 5 running backs on the roster, not to use the running game effectively. And maybe it was a loss of confidence in that O-line. I don't know. But I know they run block better than they pass block, right? And
which isn't saying much.
We're still back to that same old thing. But looking around the NFL, you talk about, Heidi, you were just talking about the 5-point difference. Cincinnati had a game with Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. But Burrow had a horrible game.
I mean, how many? 5 turnovers. They lost their long snapper. Couldn't kick field goals. They took it Pittsburgh to overtime. I mean, these are good teams that are faced with bad things happening. And speaking of kickers, the Colts just waived theirs today.
I saw that. Rodrigo Blankenship, I think is his name.
Yes, and he wasn't the only kicker that was having problems. We had at least 4 games where not making field goals made the difference. And that's what we were looking at. And let's finally end up giving our grade special teams. Let me translate that. Special teams. What's your grade on them?
Special teams, I'm going to give them a B+, simply because Daniel Carlson kicked the ball out of bounds on the kickoff that one time at the 4-yard line. And Hunter Renfrow did not make that fair catch on that one punt.
Right.
I thought that those 2 were pretty big keys, but otherwise I was pretty happy with special teams. The Chargers had no punt return yards. 0. And, you know, Carlson was automatic, you know, from field goal kicking and extra point. And Leckler had a 53-yard punt average. So, you know, and Roderick Teamer, he had a couple big plays on special teams.
Yeah,
I can't really fault them other than those two plays.
And I'd have to give. I'm a little bit higher on them. I need some unit to have done really well yesterday, so I'm actually going to give them an A for keeping us in the game mainly. Kicking those
I don't disagree with you. I mean,
that transitioned us into red zone. What are we doing wrong? Why can't we score touchdowns in the red zone? I have some theories, but have you
Well,
thought about it?
you've already said the one theory that Carr being one-dimensional is keeping the Raiders from being able to convert. I think yesterday a part of it was going away from the run game. That they really didn't give the run game much of a chance when they were banging on the door. But I can't say, looking back over the last 8-9 years, I can't blame it on that, because there were certainly times where the running game was given many chances.
Yeah,
I
I know it's really tough when you want to break it down and analyze. Like I said, the only constant in our red zone difficulties for the last 9 years is Carr. Okay, red zone is a place where you got to read and see a play. At least 2 to 3 seconds after snapping the ball. Really quick windows open and close. You got all those guys, 22 guys compacted in a small amount of real estate. And it's a place where you got to have well-designed plays. Got to use your tight end more. You have to design plays that get people open. And I just don't see it. I'm looking at McDaniels with the side eye a little bit, because I thought he had that covered. I thought he understood that we have to improve in the red zone. That's like number one. That's right. Lightning quick reflexes and reads. And
we didn't seem to really have this problem under Musgrave.
yeah.
Or am I just remembering through rose-colored glasses? And I did see your comment, Jack Kenna. I haven't.
Well, and with Musgrave, we still were in the midst of we still were in the middle of the pack in red zone efficiency. Captain, we can't hear you. Hello.
I want to say sorry. I did not pop Heidi out. Heidi, you are not connected. So there's an issue. I know that people think that I gave Heidi a quick hook. I did not give Heidi a quick hook. Heidi, there's something wrong with your system, Heidi. So bounce out there. She bounced out. Bounce out and come back again. Because trust me, the gentlemen want to hear from ladies that are both good looking and intelligent, and this does not meet any of those.
No, don't butter us up too much, because I have a feeling we're in the middle of a red zone discussion, and we started out with Carr, but there's some other stuff on the coaching side of the table that has to be dealt with. Play design. Use of personnel. You had those kind of things have to be addressed. I thought McDaniels understood that was like a major, major problem for this team, and that he was going to fix it.
Yeah, actually, I was kind of surprised that we didn't run more. I think you guys have been saying it, and yes, Peggy does look hot tonight in hair. But let's get back to football, okay?
Thank you, guys, but. No, that was a key. That was just a major key for so many reasons. We only managed 64 total yards rushing. I cannot say how disappointing that was. We must be able to run on the Chargers to keep, like I said, not only to keep Herbert off the field, but time of possession, keeping that ball and grinding that D-line, that over-pressing, charging D-line, grinding them down. A run game, pounding run game does more to open things up in the fourth quarter than anything.
I apologize. I believe my camera's finally dead.
Oh, it died.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, that's fine. a nice picture of you smiling is better than me on the screen. But again, ladies, when you want me to come back, I will have my stuff ready. But
No, we
until
want
then,
you back now.
You're
We want
good.
you
You're
back
good.
now.
We only got like 10 minutes left. You can hang out with us. You can come sit at the cool kids table.
okay,
Right.
okay.
We'll even give you a sippy. And I think though that we were talking about that red zone and how disappointed. Hi, Richie. How disappointed I am that it's the same thing over. It's deja vu. Deja vu. Every time, just getting stalled down there. We really needed to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
Where we made the trip down there, especially with a guy like Herbert on the other end. There was absolutely no reason why we were getting stalled. Play calling. I mean, that's a factor, Heidi. I mean, play calling. What did you see down in the red zone? If you were looking.
With McDaniel, I would say that he should not have gone away from the run as quickly as he did. I know Gruden did use the run, but for this particular game, I think that going away from the run that quickly had a difference. And Carl's narrowness on Adams made a big difference as well, because he forced it into him. And like on that 2-point conversion play, I mean,
yeah,
he didn't look around the field at all.
I just can't believe with all those weapons. I mean, Carr should know better. I don't know why he indulged himself with targeting Adams 17 times, especially when he knew. I mean, what he and his boy were going to single-handedly win the game. No, he's been working with Renfro for years. He's been working with Waller for years. I don't understand, unless there's new looks and new reads in a new offense. Now that
I was going to say, I still think that he was trying to force feed way too much to Adams. And you have to remember, you got Adams, you got Renfro, you got Waller. Hollins was open a lot.
A lot.
Yes, he was.
And I saw that Johnson caught a pass, and it's like, good. I didn't even know he was on the field, which is good that at least he got the one pass. Maybe we need to see that a little bit more because, again, we have all of these personnel. If you can't double cover Adams and Waller, and then somebody's going to break free, okay?
Right. I don't understand why Carr was struggling. Like you said, Heidi, it could be he just wasn't even going through his progressions, and and getting rid of the ball. In other words, just throw, and that isn't the way to do it. I got to put a lot of this. You put a lot of it on Carr, but I put even more on the game.
It's more the fact that they underutilized the running game, and I think if they would have used that more, the stuff that was not hitting up for Carr would have been open more. And again, I just think that Carr was was. I mean, he was underthrowing a lot. He underthrew the interception. I was near the end zone to Adams. He underthrew the pass to Waller, which if he would have put a little bit more zip on it, that could have been a breakaway touchdown. And I said that on my show. It was a fantastic play that the linebacker made. But yeah, the linebacker made a fantastic play, but you need to put more zip on the ball on both of those occasions, and maybe the score flip-flops a bit.
Yep, and you have that going. Now, we cannot see Richie come on without doing an acknowledgement of what happened Monday Night Football. The decision.
How much are you paying Wilson to not throw the ball?
Wilson!
But wait a minute, guys. Hold on. As I told everybody, had the 64-yard field goal worked and he made it, we'd be having a different conversation. We wouldn't be questioning a greenhorn rookie coach in Nathan Hackett, not to mention a OC with zero experience. We wouldn't be questioning any of that if he made the field goal, right? Come on,
No,
guys.
probably not.
I mean,
doubt it.
I didn't see the game because at that time I was already on my second delay for my flights, which happens every week, folks. Okay, so I saw little bits while I was waiting, and then at the end of the game, the last thing I saw was 17-13, and that's the last I saw. Then I went on my plane and finally got home. Okay, 1:30 in the morning, folks. I roll up into my house. 1:30 in the morning, but I'm here supporting the ladies right here.
Ladies' night. It's
Well,
ladies' night,
Richie, I'm
and
just
the
gonna say
time is right.
right. And listen, Richie, I just want to say one more thing. Just like I say to Raider fans, game 1, 16 to go. Got a brand new head coach. He got to learn how to manage that 2-minute offense. And it's the same thing over on our side of the ball. There's things that we just got to get up to speed on.
And here's my chance to catch up with the chat. Jack Kenna, I did not mean to sound like I was scolding you. I apologize for coming off that harsh because I wasn't able to finish what I was saying. Because my computer decided to blink out and my camera decided to go down. But I appreciate your input, and I appreciate you participating in the chat, Jack. Thank you so much.
We always love people who come in, and all the comments are so intelligent and they're on point, and there's things to consider. I mean, there's so many aspects of the football game, but hey, when we talk about red zone, I'm going to be looking at Nick Daniels to definitely teach that. Hey, Angria. Oh my God, we got somebody in for second hour.
Yeah, I can't stay too terribly long, but I've got a little sick boy, but I wanted to stop in and say hello and pop in and show my face. I'm alive.
Hello.
Well, I threw the question to Heidi, and I'm gonna throw it right straight to you. 3 reasons why we lost.
Derek Carr, and Derek Carr. I am angry and upset and annoyed with him.
Is there
remember this? We're taking this for Roku, Angria. Just letting you know. Remember.
I remember. I am behaving myself.
Thank you.
But I think he did a pretty poor job. We saw a really good showing from Devontae Adams, in spite of all the mistakes that were made by the quarterback. And our defense didn't get enough pressure. So if I had to go for 2 other ones other than just Derek Carr 3 times, I would probably go for Josh McDaniels, because our defense was non-existent for the most part, except for Nate Hobbs. He showed up. He was awesome. But Derek really disappointed me.
Yeah. And we spent a lot of time talking about that running game. I mean, that was just crucial. We had to run the football.
We, for some reason, did not decide to do a committee of running backs this year, at least not in that game. I don't know why, but I have to be upset with Josh McDaniels about that too. So, yeah, I'm totally on board. It was ridiculous that we couldn't run the ball. We were throwing really well until Derek made some, stereotypical Derek Carr mistakes. And we could have, I think, avoided those a lot had we had a good running game.
And how much did that junior varsity O-line, where you don't even have a right tackle yet, how much did that contribute to Carr's erratic play? That's what I want to know.
I think you make a really good point, because if you look at the only time Derek Carr's had a top 5 O-line, that was in 2016, and he was monstrous. And he did a great job. He didn't make nearly the amount of mistakes that he has. But since then, and since his O-line has gone downhill, and let's face it, this is probably the worst one we've seen in a long time.
Shocking.
He's too scared to get hit and then lose the ball. So
and wait a minute, maybe a season-ending injury might be on his mind.
Yeah, I think he would be a prime candidate for some sports psychology.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know too many quarterbacks that can operate with folks in your face every down.
Yeah,
where you can't
absolutely.
step in.
There's a
few
couple,
that-
but it's minimal.
Yeah.
The,
I mean,
the elite of the
one
elite.
hand. I can
Yeah.
count them on one hand. The number of quarterbacks that can survive a rush like that, not make mistakes, not throw the ball erratically, not throw too early, not too late. All these things that we were talking about that happen to Carr, it starts with pass protection.
And can we, I don't know if you guys addressed this yet or not, but can we talk about the fact that they put Derek Carr to block Joey Bosa?
That has been addressed in the chat, but we haven't talked about it.
Well, you guys are going to talk about the second half. I've got to run. It was lovely being here, and I will see everybody in 2 weeks where we're going to have some more features, and I think the captain can come back. Thanks, guys.
Love you, Peggy.
All right, bye, Peggy. Great
Bye-bye.
seeing you.
Bye.
I'm going to step out for just a quick second, too, because I have a fussy baby, and I'm going to put him in a high chair, and I'll step back in when I can.
All right, honey. Good to see. Good to hear from you. All right. Well, I'm gonna angry. Hopefully, I'm gonna remove you from the screen, but you're not gone. So obviously she's backstage. But wow, I'm the only ugly mug up there because even Heidi has a wonderful picture on the screen. So we'll try to get through this as well. Here's what we got. And again, just ask me, bounce those questions off me, Heidi. I was there, and I did see a lot of. I mean, I saw Max Crosby get molested so often on the field that he should have, like, the California Penal Code for molestation should have been invoked on those counts. He wasn't held. He wasn't mugged. He was molested. And it's horrible that that he got one holding call. And as you said, Chandler Jones, somebody put him on a milk carton because I didn't see him. One play I saw him, and that was when he tackled the running back TFL near the goal line. And I didn't see him for the rest of the game. I didn't see him.
I think he will probably show up a lot more this next week.
Oh, yeah, it's
against
Cardinals.
the Cardinals, for sure. But yeah, he had that one play in the end zone to set up a safety, but Abram wasn't able to complete the play. But other than that, yeah, I'm back in milk carton. Where are you?
Yeah, for sure on that. I was going to say the highlight of the game was, and no, it wasn't me being on TV because that's overheard. The highlight of the game was and Angry, you give me a thumbs up when I need to put you. So I know you're here. Just give me a thumbs up when you want to come back on. Okay. Is that a thumbs up? Yes. Now? Yes. Okay, good. The highlight of the game was, and I said this as well, was the horrible crew over in SoFi when the gal that I was at the game with got into a squabble. Actually, she wasn't getting into a squabble, but Gotta Be Charger fans had a big incident which negated the fact that I didn't see any of the third quarter up until Carlson kicking the field goal. That was basically the first time I saw the third quarter. And I will never, and I'm going to quantify this, I will never, ever again go to that stadium unless it is a game like last season where it was the Raiders versus the Chargers for a meaningful game, or a Raiders game at I almost said San Diego, at LA in a playoff game. I got my SoFi ticket punched. I don't need to see it again. The stadium is it's beautiful, but it's not fan friendly. And I don't need all of the crap that goes with a Chargers Raiders game, because it doesn't matter whether it was in San Diego. It's the same crap that I had in San Diego, just a different environment. Okay. So that's just the way that is. I won't go to that stadium again because of the way I was treated, the way a lot of people were treated, and I got so bugged by the other things that were going on. I will not go to that stadium. It got me so pissed. I almost was throwing fists with some inbred Jed. But again, that's without having been said. And they told me I can't go because I was wearing too much metal. Okay.
That's because I wasn't running the crew. If I would have been running the crew, it would have been different.
Yeah.
My people at my events were always well taken care of and well behaved. That stuff didn't go on.
And yes, Vicky, you did pre-warn me. Like I said, I got my SoFi ticket punched, so I don't need to go anymore. Unless it's a game of importance, I don't need to go. It was a very expensive trip for a game that I probably could have enjoyed watching at home and saved a bunch of money. That's it.
I think the funny thing about visiting other stadiums and other teams is how people complain so much about Raiders fans and being, criminals and whatever we are. I don't know. But when they go to a game, they are very clear that it's probably the nicest group of fans they've ever met. And just about anywhere else you go, we hear horror stories. Like the guy a few years ago that got sent to the hospital at the Ravens game. It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or killed.
Yeah. Those are all bad things.
Yeah. And I tell people, I said I know that the killing was what the Raiders Niners game, right? A preseason, or are you speaking about something else?
Actually, I was thinking of the guy being left pretty much brain dead at the Dodgers game.
Yeah, that's Dodgers Giants. So yeah. But yeah. And DZ, and that is DZ. We go by the Canadian pronunciation of DZ. So to let you ladies know, so that's DZ. Yeah, it was the crew that worked the scuffle between my gal that I was there with and some other people. They were good, but the rest of the security in that stadium would have to improve just to say they sucked. And then I'm going to talk about law enforcement. And you know that I am very high on the blue. But the law enforcement came up to me and said, hey, you didn't say it gave me the hey old dude attitude, but it was like, sir, we're going to allow you in this time, but next time lose all that metal. And I'm like, 20 years, and now it's an issue. So there you go. I didn't say it, Angry. I know what you're thinking. It was just a visual. So there you go. Ladies,
well,
you did say
they sure were happy to have you on the big screen. So I guess it wasn't that big of a problem.
Yeah, well, and I'm glad I got on the big screen. That was after I had to go through security again, and some inbred Jed Charger fan I got so involved with it, and he had on his Desert Storm hat. So I knew he was, and I got into with two guys who were professing to be military or ex-military. So there you go there. And here's a good question for the ladies here as well. Good from Mike Sarah.
Well, like I said, I think Chandler Jones might show up, and I do believe that Derek Carr will calm down and we will see a different quarterback. He will make up for his performance.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm not on the Derek Carr bandwagon right now. Neither is Jack.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I completely understand, but I think he will redeem himself. I think he will have gotten these first game jitters and first game focusing only on Adams out of his system, and he will do a much better job.
One thing I do have to say is, since you brought that up, is I actually did see him scan the field a lot more than he usually does. So that is something that I think he did improve on. he did it in the first half. I didn't see it as much in the second half, and I think that's where we got into problems. But I did see him looking ABC, going down his checklist, and he didn't make his first throw on every single play.
He actually got at least 3 to 4 reads. I'll give him that. And the offensive line, for the most part, kept him clean for those 3 or 4 reads. What he needs to do, and he did a little bit at the end, was move around a little bit more. And he actually ran into a couple sacks at the end from what I could see. I can't confirm that because I haven't seen the game. I have it, I have it on tape. And, when I'll probably get a chance to watch all these games during the bye week because I probably won't have any time until then. But I'll have to go back and see that. But, yeah, he got to his 3rd and 4th read most of the time. And I would say there were receivers that were open at time if he had that extra second. And sometimes he didn't throw because he was throwing it to Adams more often when Waller and Renfro were open, and Renfro did have the guy that was covering Renfro. I think was the kid Callahan, that was the Denver castoff, was on Renfro pretty well. But you know what? Waller was open quite a bit, and like I said, a little bit more on mustard on the ball would have gotten him a little bit more yards.
If he was really making those progressions, why wasn't he throwing to the open receivers then?
Because he stopped doing it in the second half. He was doing a much better job in the first half. I saw him go through
the first drive, he looked great.
Yeah, but it got worse and worse and worse. The more he gets hit, the more up in arms he gets, and he gets happy feet and starts throwing things to people that don't exist. And that's just a common thing. Now with Waller, he still makes me mad because there are some, he caught one. I only watched 3/4 of the game because I had to go home, but I saw him catch one really good one, but he missed an easy one, what should have been an easy one. And if you're getting paid $61 million, you catch that ball in the end zone. I don't care if there's a dude draped over on top of you. We've seen him in triple coverage catch that same ball. There's no reason he shouldn't have gotten that. That's the biggest gripe I have with Waller, is that he misses or drops the easiest plays that, you could hand it to him and he would drop it.
Yeah. Yeah, and people are asking, and they were talking about, and with with the possible injury to James, the kid that they signed, Price, went to the practice squad, from what I understand, and he was the starting center. He was the number 1 pick, I think, by the Bengals that actually played, that started for the Giants last year. So there's the answer there. Yeah, Assembly did not get signed. They looked at Vernon Hargraves. Yeah. Again, praise the Lord Jesus that Assembly did not get signed. I'm sorry to be I'm sorry Bishop's probably going to get on my ass about that, but yeah.
I'm sorry, he hasn't played in 2 years.
Exactly. I don't need a broken down offensive lineman that's old and can't play.
Yeah, and he was a piece of glass, before he quit playing.
Yeah.
So.
I disagree, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, his knees completely gave out on him. So.
Not every play, though. We spent an entire season last year without a left guard because we had somebody who was made of glass. It wasn't technically that man had put his life on the line and his body on the line for decades in the NFL, but we have had to piecemeal an O-line together ever since Kelechi Osemele left.
Yeah, and
he was the last good left guard we had.
Right, and Kelechi Osemele, where did he play last year?
I don't know. Did he play? If he didn't play last year, that's fine. I understand that. But what do we have right now?
Yeah, we have crap. Saying, where did the last time that he played, he got injured? You know where it was? It was Kansas City. You know what game he was playing? Against the Raiders. I rest my case.
All righty. But anyways, I mean, my disagreement is mostly with the comment that he was made of glass. Yeah, he had bad knees, but he spent a lot of time on the field with those bad knees and fought through it. And where he got injured, and he got injured in New York as well. But I take issue with the comment that he was made of glass and he wasn't worth anything.
Well,
I
no,
never said he wasn't worth anything.
Yeah, I was
I
going to
just
say,
think injury-wise, he,
yeah,
Well,
and
you
again,
indicated that he couldn't stay on the field, and that's BS. It's not accurate.
well, no, I disagree, Angry. He gets on the field, then he gets injured.
Yeah. But he didn't. That wasn't the case when he played for the Raiders. So going back and saying when he played for the Raiders that he was made of glass and he couldn't stay on the field is nonsense.
Did I say he
will-
was made of glass when he played for the
Yes,
Raiders?
you did.
Okay, no, we are saying that the last time he played for the Raiders, he was playing on bad knees. He lasted the season. He did, or he might have been out near the end. In fact, I think near the end of the season, he got injured, and we had to throw something in there. But then his knees were so bad after that, and we didn't re-sign him, and then he's bounced around several teams since then. I know that the Jets were one. I know that Kansas City was one. He hasn't played well, or if at all, the last several years, and that's because of the glass that we're talking about in bad knees.
I understand that. I'm just trying to give credit where credit's due.
Okay. Well, he was okay until he got hurt with the Raiders. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
That's all I'm asking.
And I was not saying that he was made of glass the entire time he's with the Raiders.
That's what you indicated.
I meant to indicate that he is made of glass now.
Yeah, he's made of glass now. I'll agree with that. Yeah. Here we go. Richie Che, 2018, 11 games total. And again, I haven't seen his stat. I just remember the last time that I saw him on the field, literally, was not Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders, and he got injured. And thank you. See, Richie Riche's on the good with the stats. So 2018, 11, 2019, 3, 2025. I'm not paying a dude that can't even last half a season.
Absolutely not.
So there we go. Anyway, go ahead, ladies. Again, I'm here. And when we go to, and I do have it ready. I do have, because I was keyed up that Captain Jack's portion of the show is going to be Captain Jack looks back at different aspects of different games, and we will roll into that when you are ready. But the guys and gals, keep those comments coming, and we will put them up on the screen so that Angria and as well as Kevlar, Prom, Dress, Heidi will address them.
Well, what do you see happening in the next game, Angria, against the Cardinals?
Well, I think you made a really good point that Chandler Jones is probably going to show up. Sorry, Jack just decides to yell when he's on microphone. They're still without their biggest target, so I didn't watch the game this weekend, but it was embarrassing. I could tell just from all of the updates and the final score. I think we give a lot of credit to the Chiefs, and credit is due there, but probably not as much as was reflected in that score.
Okay. The answer to the question is the Raiders have 11.7 in salary cap space. 11.7 million in salary cap space. There was a question. But yeah, you have a point.
I really think that we have a really good chance of winning it. But I don't know. It depends on which team shows up. If Derek takes this time to actually, settle down, if this is his game where he calms down, sometimes it takes a couple of weeks. Hopefully it only takes him 1 week this time. And we're playing a big division rival. There's, if we're being honest, we are in probably the best division in the league right now. And that's
Mhm.
not something we've been in for a long time. And we, even given the fact that we have probably a top 12 quarterback, I would say, we still have the worst quarterback in the division. And that's pretty impressive. So we have, something to look forward to. But somebody mentioned something about Kyler Murray. I don't know how he's playing this year so far, but I can see him using this season as either an audition for another team or an audition for the Cardinals to not treat him like poo.
Well, they gave him a contract, but yeah, how well did they treat him while doing so?
Well, that's exactly what I mean. I mean, that's the question we have to ask is what it took them so long to pay him. Didn't they just give him a 1-year extension? Was that it?
I don't remember the terms. There was such a big uproar over the studying clause. That's the part that stuck out to me.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of Kyler Murray. I think he's arrogant and he's rude and he's kind of stuck up and seems like he has an air of I'm better than everybody else, so I don't have to do what everybody else does. But you still have to recognize that you have a good quarterback, and if you don't pay him, he's going to go somewhere else. You don't have a better option in Arizona right now. So,
Yeah, I hate to admit it. He is a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We'll see.
Neither of us have been big fans of him since he entered the league. So I freely admit that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have not been a fan. Not been the day that I saw him at the draft, I was unimpressed with his attitude and his behavior. And since then I haven't seen an interview at all that I've liked. So Kevin says we don't have the worst quarterback in the division. Russell Wilson's worse.
Russell Wilson has a Super Bowl. You kind of have to. You kind of have to give him that.
But Russell Wilson was one of those make or break. This is going to be his either Peyton Manning year 1 or Peyton Manning year 2 in Denver. So I don't know what we're going to see with him. It's always dependent on what he has. He's got some really good weapons, but he doesn't have what he had before. He doesn't have DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. The only thing he has that's improved right now is his O-line. And for Russell Wilson, that's like a 50-50. Who cares? And
the Broncos do have some good wide receivers, though. They do.
They're decent. But they're not top 5 wide receivers. They're not even top 10 wide receivers. Cortland Sutton is very good, but I wouldn't put him in a conversation for a top half of the league receiver. I think he's better than a lot of the receivers we've had, but he is not DK Metcalf. He is not Tyler Lockett. He's not. Melvin Gordon played pretty well last night, but he just still couldn't get through Seattle. And the fact that we said Geno Smith took the first half is really concerning to me about Denver. But I don't think that has much to do with Russell Wilson. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be a fight for those two, though.
Yeah.
All right. And I think that there was, and I will agree with the fact that Graham held the high scoring, high impact San Diego offense to 24 overall and only 7 in the final quarter. We lost by 5. We did shoot ourselves in the foot as far as, like I said, the interceptions that Carr threw. Like I said, the one that was in the end zone that got moved back to the 2, which was right in front of us. The one that was the underthrow to Waller over the middle, which I think was a really great thing. Somebody said that there was 6 turnovers. I remember Carr's 3 interceptions. I don't know if maybe I was out for
There were 3 forced fumbles on top of the interceptions.
Okay, and again, were they in the third quarter?
But I don't think they were actual turnovers.
Okay.
There was one fumble recovery, but Derek recovered that ball, I believe. He was strip sacked, but I'm pretty sure that he got the ball back. So I don't know where 6 comes from, but I haven't looked at the
Yeah.
stats today.
Yeah, they weren't actual turnovers, but there were 3 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles,
Okay. Okay. There you go.
according to the stats. I just remember because when I looked up the stats earlier today, I was like, oh, I didn't remember 3 forced fumbles, but
Yeah, I didn't
um,
either. Yeah. And Momo, like I said, by the way, Momo is a college football player. So thanks for Momo coming into our show as well. And I agree with them here as well. Hobbs right now, and I did like the way that Everett was playing, and then his thumb gets broken, and that's a loss that people are poo-pooing as no big deal. But Everett played decently yesterday, and losing him and having somebody come up. Now we signed a corner off the waiver wire, and there was another one that was brought in. I said we didn't sign Hargraves, but we did sign one off the waiver wire, which has some experience. So I think that that injury is gonna hurt us a little bit more.
One thing that I
Yeah.
don't think people give Averett enough credit for is he played for the Ravens, and he played in a really, really good division, and he held his own. So we have to give him a little bit more credit than just saying he's a nothing burger and it's not a big loss, because I think that is going to be a loss.
yeah, and he's going to be out for a while because he's on IR.
Yeah, which is at least 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, Damien says he fumbled 3 times, but we didn't lose them.
Well, I thought one of them might have been lost. And yeah, Momo was talking about the cornerback we picked up. His name is Gidry. Yeah, and he's not an Everett, but he's not bad.
Well, if we're being honest, our secondary hasn't gotten any better. I was still disappointed. I was not happy with the way they played this weekend. However, my biggest beef with them is tackling. I still don't understand why we can't tackle somebody and bring them to the ground. And the biggest offender there is Jonathan Abram. But if he ever gets out of his whatever, all he wants to do is hit people. He's not the second coming of Jack Tatum, who, by the way, could still hit somebody and tackle them. It wasn't just big hits. But I'm still disappointed at the fact that we let so many, they break so many tackles that we should be able to wrap up and finish.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. And I think McDaniels mentioned something about the tackling as well.
Hopefully he gets on his defensive coordinator and tells him that he has a lot more work to do, because I don't think we rushed enough. I don't think that our pass rush wasn't there. That's what I'm trying to say. We did have a lot of good quarterback hits, and I am happy that we were able to get to him. But like Captain said, and we didn't see this watching it on TV, but you obviously saw it in the stadium. They were, of course, double and triple teaming Max Crosby, I'm sure. And we barely saw number 55 at all. So
no,
it was
MIA for sure.
Yeah. So they were holding both of them to nothing basically.
Well, I will say that I saw more of Crosby based upon where he was lined up at the time. As far as my vantage point, I was seeing Max more because Jones was on the other side. So I couldn't see a lot of him. Like I said, the one play that I saw of Jones was like very deep down right in front of me on the other side, because he was playing right end, and he tripped up the Eckler, I believe, or it was either Eckler or I think it was Eckler, and like Michelle came in and spelled him, but I think it was Eckler with the tackle for loss, and that's the only time I saw Jones. So if he was held, I couldn't see it with my vantage point from where I was, and I was sitting front row, but again, that's on the other side of the field, and I have to go fight through a little bit more traffic. But, Crosby was more like lining up where I can see him all the time. And I know that he was getting molested.
Yeah, it was bad. And, there were a couple of really, really bad calls. That fourth down conversion, that wasn't a fourth down conversion. They just gave it to them without measuring or anything like
and
that. That
pissed
really
me
made
off.
me angry. Yeah, that was crap. You saw Abram took him down clearly at least half a foot before they lined a game, and they still gave it to them. They didn't even measure. Why would you not measure? I mean, that was really horrible. And then that missed pass interference call in the end zone. Pathetic. That was pathetic.
And the one sack that Mac got where he hit Derek in the head and grabbed his face mask. I mean, that's another one.
I saw the pic. Oh yeah, I saw a pic because Peggy actually showed it to me and go back up in our chat, Angria, and you'll see it. It shows Mac making a sack over Miller, but he has all mask with a twist. Not just mask with a twist. No call.
Well, I mean, we're Raiders fans, so we say this every single year, but it seems to be true.
And I'm not going to blame the game on the refs. I mean, we should have won it, period. But it's never a show without at least bringing it up. So
no, it's not, because it happens all the time.
Exactly.
And I'm sure we'll talk about it here's a good segue, on our show tomorrow with its NFL Nation Live, which with myself and Violator and Ref Guru, we will definitely talk about officiating. I know that will come up, but that is after the Wild Wild West show, of which we go around the AFC West. Join us here on that here at 7:30 Eastern time. Wild Wild West show, where myself, Richie Richey, coach defense for the Chargers, and Alex Givens for the Chiefs will talk about pluses and minuses, what happened on Sunday, what we have coming up. So that'll be tomorrow at 7:30. Then NFL Nation Live at 9:00 Eastern, and then I might go to sleep after that, maybe.
You really should consider sleeping, Captain. You don't take nearly enough good care of yourself.
Yeah, I'm burning as much as I can, but I need to do things as like I said, for example, and here's something that I'm going to share with the audience, which is a little bit inside. I got a nice picture of Angria, which I'm going to add to the picture that I had today, move a couple things around. So this way we'll have all the ladies represented on the ladies' night picture, but it's going to take me a little bit to do. And when I had the picture from you, Heidi, I just got home, but since I had your picture, I wasn't going to not put your picture on there, so I had to manipulate it. So when I went home at 1:30, got in the door, threw some of my stuff down, I said, got to work on promos. And so I did the promo on that, and I did the page, so we were all be squared away for this show. And again, and I thank Angria for sending me a nice picture. The one with you and Jack, I think I'm going to use. I'll just, put your face, and you'll be nice left corner. You guys will see it when we do the promo for next week, and then I will have time as well to do the intro, which won't be just me, that I had to use tonight. It'll be the ladies on the promo, so it's nicer to see all of that as well. So I'll get things done, and I do things as I can, but again, there's only so much time I can do because I'm locked away for a lot.
There was a question about how to watch the Raiders games in the Midwest. Go to Dofu Sports. Download that app. You can pull it up. They often have them on YouTube, but he also has links to his private server, and you can watch them on there.
The YouTube links get shut down a lot.
Yeah, they get ferreted out pretty quick sometimes, depending on the game. But they, like I said, he has other server sites that are set up that he posts them on, and I don't think I've ever had one of those taken down. I just cast it to my TV.
Was it Doku?
Dofu, Dofu.
Hey, DOFU 2.
Hey,
Now, you two.
calm down.
It was a joke waiting to happen. I just had to jump on it.
And that's an app that you can download in your app store.
Yeah, and I agree with Mike.
Mike, yeah.
Abrams was good.
I was just going to agree with you. The only problem I have with him still is that he doesn't wrap up to tackle. He hits. And I get it. I understand your safety. That's kind of one of the big things. And he's a blitzing safety too. So, I mean, they throw him up in coverage. I don't think they're doing that as much this year because Nate Hobbs does a pretty damn good job. But he did do a much better job staying on his coverage.
Okay.
Patrina Phillips, are you PSP Raiderette?
Yes, she is. Is she in here?
Yeah, she just popped in.
Just popped in. Excuse me. That's another reason why I want you ladies
Good
to
to
talk,
see you.
because the more I talk, I'll be getting in a coughing fit. So yeah, PSP Raiderette is here. Good to see her. There she is.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to mute myself for a while so I can take something to drink.
Oh, shoot, Heidi, I guess it's up to you and me.
Oh, no.
What are we going to do?
It's a shame we don't get along.
I know, it's terrible.
Stream East is another site. Okay.
It's good to know.
So there are a bunch of sites. You just kind of have to ferret it out. You know, get a pop-up blocker for your browser, and you should be able to find some sites. It shouldn't be that much of a problem. And yeah, I signed up for Paramount Plus for the day, just so I would be able to watch the CBS games. And so the Raiders game wasn't local to us, but we went to the 907 Ale House with our club and watched it there. So we were able to see it there, see it live, and it was great. Momo Carr was too focused on Adams. Hollins was open an awful lot. Renfro was open. Carr was just focused, and I think that he'll grow out of that. I wish he wouldn't have started that, to begin with, but I think he will grow out of it, and he will become more comfortable with spreading the ball around. He really needed to spread around. He threw it to 7 different receivers, and 3 of them only had 1 reception. So he needs to spread that around more. Herbert, he threw to 9 different receivers, and none of them had only 1 reception. So you can see the difference. But
With Carr, he's always had the same problem, and that is trust in his receivers. You can tell who he trusts and who he works with a lot and who he doesn't. And this goes back to his rookie year. It hasn't changed, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. But my hope was that when Josh McDaniels came in, the man who coached Tom Brady to basically be able to throw to any receiver that walks off the street, and that he'd be able to work with Carr on that and teach him or get him comfortable with passing to other people. But that's been his issue forever. That's just what he does.
Yeah, Wowza, I said grow out of it, and like I said, I wish he wouldn't have started it to begin with. Maybe grow out of it wasn't the right word, but he will develop his confidence in the other receivers, and he will move on to other receivers. He did the same thing last year with Darren Waller in the first game. He went to Waller for 17, 18, attempts. And the only difference is, the Raiders won that game. So, victories cover a lot of ills. And in that circumstance, it, people didn't remember it as much.
I remember it every time because it's the same thing we see every single year.
Queen is always invited.
Sorry, I don't know who any of those people are. So
Yeah.
you're always welcome to call in. What else, Heidi? Did you
I
talk
think
about your game breaker?
we did
The
not
turning
talk
point?
about a great. We did not talk about a turning point yet.
Well, what was yours?
My turning point, it wasn't the only turning point, but the one that pissed me off the. Is that a bad word?
No, that one's
Okay.
FCC approved.
Okay. The one that pissed me off the most was McDaniels rolling over and dying at the end of the first half.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Now, I know
why?
that the Raiders had just had, the dagger shoved in their back, and he probably wanted to just go into halftime and regroup, come out in the second half, get the kickoff. But the Raiders had 35 seconds left and three timeouts, a ball on the 25-yard line, and he did nothing. I'm going to be one of those people that say never say die, and he should have tried to do something.
We've seen them score with less time and less timeouts. So, yeah, there's no reason other than, oh gosh, the end of the half turning the ball over. Whoopee. They weren't close enough to be able to score, really. Hopefully not, anyways. But it was not worth giving up on. Oh, Jack's in the chat.
Especially when you have a kicker like Daniel Carlson. You give him a 55-yard field goal attempt, and 9 out of 10 times he's going to make that.
Yeah, absolutely. He is one of the best kickers in the league, and we paid him for that for a reason. That's his job. Let him go down the field, throw something big.
Point?
For the first half, the good turning point for me was when Max Crosby dove on an entire pile of people and stopped a fourth down conversion and squished like half the Chargers team in the process. That was awesome. And then as soon as Derek Carr threw his first interception, it was over. I knew it was going to be done at that point. Once he throws one, he gets so distraught and discombobulated, he doesn't know what to do with himself. So at that point, it's kind of like, pack it in.
Well, I'm not one that gives up right away, but you know that. You know that I'm positive. But by the time he threw the second one, I was like, we are in trouble.
Yep.
We are in a lot of trouble.
All right, folks, I'm going to have to cut it short. I've got a little sick infant. Well, he's not an infant anymore. He's a big boy. He's going to be 3 soon. So we're going to have a big Raiders birthday. He's mad about that. It's okay.
Can I come as a cheerleader?
Being old. Absolutely. I'll get you some pom-poms and everything.
All right. I want to wear the mini skirt.
Good night, everyone. Go Raider Nation.
All right, I'll see you soon.
Yep.
All right. Bye. You're muted.
Sorry. Thank you for letting me know. I wouldn't leave you alone, honey. So don't worry. And like I said,
I would have been able to pull it off.
Yeah, you would have been able to pull it off. You would have been able to pull it off. But again, I one thing I do want to say to all of these people, I said, this is the ladies' night show. The ladies are the stars of the show. And that's why hopefully you will see as little of me as possible this year, unless I'm directed for particular questions. I will be here. But again, if there are other things that we want to do, you obviously need to make sure that you direct your questions to Heidi, aka Kevlar Prom Dress, Angria, who is Angria, and DC Wench, Peggy. Just let them know what you want to talk about. But the comments have been live and been great, and we appreciate that as well. And Willie Wayne has a distinct, which is a correct opinion, and it's the same thing that Peggy said at the beginning of the show. They beat us last year quite handily. Quite handily. We spotted them 21 points, and they beat us quite handily, and we still came out in the end. So it takes a whole season to get to that finish line. I know it's like an obvious, I can't remember what the word is, analogy, but it takes a whole season to do that. And one game does not make a season. And
yeah, like Peggy said, it's not who's winning in September and October, it's who's winning in November and December. And there's still 16 games to go. Now, a division game almost kind of counts as 2 in the standings, especially if you're in a division like the AFC West, but it's not the end of the world. There's 16 games to go. That's a lot of games. I mean, the Raiders can definitely put this together. I am still a little scared about the offensive line and the defensive line. But things can come together. The Raiders can still pull off the season. It is not the end of the world, Raiders fans. Let's see.
One game.
You want to drop the link and see if somebody wants to join us?
Sure, I can do that. I will put the link up if you want to come in and talk right onto the show. But remember, I get at least 5 minutes to talk about a very important or a memorable Charger Raider game. There is the link. So if you're going to go into, hit the link up. Momo, we're just going to do the link tonight because, to be honest, you can still be here. You don't have to be on camera. Just hit the link. That makes sure that all of the audio is being able to be heard. And yes, Ana Diaz, you always have permission to come aboard. Always have permission to come aboard. Hit the link, Momo, and it's like it's like you're using the phone. You don't have to be on camera if you don't want to be on camera, but we'll put you up. And thank you for the salute, Anna. There we go. All right.
Yeah. When people call in, I can't understand what they're saying.
It's easier just to hit the link.
Yeah, so just click on StreamYard. It'll bring you backstage, and then once you're backstage, Jack will bring you in.
And Jack will bring in Jack.
Jack. It's going to be very short. I'm barbecuing right now, trying to feed the family, and my chicken's going to be done here pretty quick. So the one thing I got to say is like our offensive line. You can't give up 9 pressures, 6 sacks, and expect Carr to play well. He had no time. Even though he's a fast quarterback and getting the ball out, you can't expect him to do that. And I met Raider Kojo, on YouTube through OG, and we hung out and had some cocktails and watched the game. But this game was like all on the offensive line. But I will say one positive thing on our offensive line. Parham played well at, right guard. But James might be hurt, so he might have to move over to center. So, guys, don't bag on Carr for that loss. Yes, he underthrew some balls. I saw it, but we're not getting the time. You're not going to be able to make those throws. So what do you guys think? Want both of your opinions.
Well, I thought that the offensive line, I said this before for the show, Carr was able to get into progression 3 to progression 4. So if you're going through getting into your 3rd or 4th progression, then the offensive line is doing its job for the most part. And so that wasn't too bad. Yes, there was some times where actually the very first blitz, the very first sack that they had was Derwin James on a safety blitz, and he sacked Carr. But all the rest of them were by the defensive line. I think that, maybe a linebacker for a half one. 50 who got 3 of them. Derwin James got 1. That's 4. Bosa was credited for 1.5, so that's 5.5. And then the other one goes to, or the half sack goes to probably a linebacker. I don't know all of the statistics. So yeah, there was 6 sacks.
6 sacks, 9 pressures overall. So
Right.
I'm like, he's not getting the time. So, and you know what? It's like, the Raiders try to go on the fly and replace offensive linemen. Who does that? I mean, we're going to test them out. Who does that? Well, no one just tests people out. You take your best players and you start them and you play them. So they didn't show up. So, McDaniels replace players, go on offensive line. So again, the one positive I see is Parham played well, had one of the best grades of actually on all of our offensive line this whole week against the Chargers. So I can't blame it on Carr, which yes, 3 picks. It's career record for throwing picks. But when you're under pressure, man, did you guys see Carr? I'm Captain, you were watching the game live, so you didn't see this, but Carr looked like he was ready to cry on the sideline. I mean, it was sad. I mean, it was really sad. But this offensive line did no justice, and McDaniels did no justice, on, protecting Carr. I said, earlier in the week, they need to run double tight ends, all flipping game. Give these, give the tackles extra help, chips, blocks. You got to do that. I'm sorry, I'm going to pull a chicken off right now. But they didn't do that all game. So it's and then Bolden, they had Bolden number 2 running back. He's running the ball. I mean, where do you rank Bolden? I have Bolden ranked number 4. And if I'm going to run the ball, it's not Bolden. Bolden, I want catching balls like he caught that first touchdown. I don't want him running the ball. I think White's a way better running back than him running the ball.
Okay, don't get too enamored with Zamir White, and I say this as well. If McDaniels is running this team like he's been influenced from his past in New England Patriot land, then Zamir White is going to be a red shirt this year for the most part.
He might be, but Anthony Averett's better than Bolden in running the ball. Bolden's not a good ball runner. They ran him. There's no reason to run him. Jacob should have been running that ball. So it's I put a little bit of blame on McDaniels, but honestly, it's the offensive line. If you said, Cap, if the Raiders got 9 pressures, 6 sacks, do you not think we would have dominated that game? But we came back in the second half, which I will say, the first half remind me of John Gruden days. It's the same fucking thing. Oh, I'm sorry, you're Roku, right? Are you Roku?
Oops.
Okay, I didn't know that. So sorry. So the first half reminded me of last season of under John Gruden. Second half, we came out again like we normally do, and we come back and we had a chance to win the game. Yes. So, people are blaming Carr. Oh, you underthrew the ball. Well, you know what? If you got 9 hits of guys that are 300 pounds hitting you and 6 sacks, well, yeah, you're going to try to throw the ball early. So 100% of the blame I put on this offensive line. And we didn't do very much to address the offensive line. And Darrell Williams is still out there. So why is Darrell Williams still out there? Maybe he's junk. I don't know. But right now, Parham's probably going to be a starter next week.
Right. And here's the other thing. And I'm gonna wrap you up. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap you up only because that I got to get to my one segment and I need some time to do that.
Well, I know I said a lot. I try to get it in because I'm trying to cook dinner too. So I'll take it off the air just so I can hear what your response is.
You're making me hungry, dude.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Making me real hungry.
Oh, yeah. Chicken legs. Woohoo.
I love chicken legs.
All right, guys.
Hey, Jack, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Love you guys. I'm glad to be on the show. I'm thank you for making me a mod. I appreciate you. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks for coming in. Well,
and Jack, get a hold of Queen. Get a hold of Queen because you know how to get a hold of her. Go ahead there, Heidi.
Well, the one thing I said was that the offensive line contributed to Carr's performance. I did list Carr as the number one reason, but the offensive line, was number 2. And they went hand in hand. Now, Carr did have time to throw on many plays. That's why he was able to get through when he was reading his progressions, why he was able to get through them. But, he stopped doing that. And then the other thing I wanted to add, I really want to give the defense props in the second half. They held them to 7 points. And holding Justin Herbert and the Chargers to 7 points and half, the defense deserved to win that game based on that performance. If you would have told me that the Chargers were held to 24 points, I would have said the Raiders were coming out on top. Now, the defense came out whenever the Raiders needed a 3 and out or they needed a stop, they gave it to them. So the loss is on the offense. And the problem is this is an offense that really shouldn't be able to be stopped. And they were. And a big reason is the offensive line. And Carr, I still put the loss on Carr, but I put it down as a single game performance. I don't think he is the worst quarterback in the history of the universe, which is what many fans are saying right now. I do not believe that. Okay. I'm off the soapbox.
Yep. You're off the soapbox and just in time because I'm going to do my segment of memorable games, back in history. And I'm
going to go try to find some chicken tortilla soup.
Okay, well then I guess I'm going to be alone. But you take care as well, Heidi. I'll do the last segment.
All right, I will catch you later. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and I will have a new camera, everyone. I apologize for my camera's performance. I'll see everyone. Thanks for coming in, and see you guys later.
All right. Take care there, Heidi. Okay. And again, no, the show's not over yet. In fact, I want to try to get this done. And it's going to be strange because I'm not going to be able to see what I'm doing because of the way that it is. But let me see if I can do it like this. Okay. We are going to be running. Actually, let's do this. That makes it better. Okay, I know that looks horrible, but we'll get this squared. I'm going to be talking about the 2016 game between the Raiders and the Chargers. And so we will start with the slideshow here. And hopefully, again, I can't see what's going on right now, but hopefully everybody can hear me. And again, I can't see any comments because of this. But we're going back to 2016 when the Raiders beat the Chargers 19-16, earning their playoff berth. And so, again, they beat the last times that they went in the playoffs, they beat the Chargers to do it. And only one person that was on that team remembered the last time that the Raiders were in the playoffs, and that was, of course, Jeno. Quoting, it was very exciting, very joyful looking around the stadium and seeing our fans just going crazy. Derek Carr said this. When we come to San Diego, our fans turn it into a home game. We always think we got 9 home games a year. And that's why I was kind of talking about with Coach on the show as well. Let's go back to the next one as well. Where the frick is the slideshow? There we go. Sorry about that. I had it on the wrong thing. So we'll go do this. Go advance. Damn it. Advance. Why is it not advancing? Okay. Now this sucks. Up. Well, I guess operator error on this crap. So I'm going to get rid of this stuff. Sorry about that, folks, but I had a whole slideshow about the game. I'm not frozen. I was talking about the game, a memorable game. I had all pictures and whatnot, so sorry. And hopefully we'll get a chance to get this squared away. But again, going back to 2016, it was the last time that the Raiders beat the Chargers to get into the playoffs in that year. It was a home game, and this is what I was talking about. There was 80% Raider fans in San Diego. 80% of that crowd were Raider fans, and even Phillip Rivers himself stated that, it was, he couldn't hear signals. It was a home game for the Raiders. So let's go back to the game. The Raiders couldn't really do too much out in the first half. They turned the ball over twice in the red zone. Chargers failed to capitalize. Oakland tied it up at 10 on Carr's 13-yard scoring pass to Michael Crabtree, which was a great catch. And Crabtree did get both feet in bounds. It was originally ruled no catch, but on review, they said that they figured out that he got his feet in. So it was 10-10. Oakland was up 13-10, short-lived on a third quarter. Janikowski with a 33-yard field goal. Chargers came right back for Hunter Henry, go-ahead touchdown. So now it's 17-13 at that point. But the winning drive started at the Raiders 34 to include a 27-yard run by Latavius Murray and a 22-yard pass from Carr to Seth Roberts. And I did have a picture of the Murray run. Again, it's pissing me off. I can't show you. Even though Derek Carr wasn't at his best, his velocity continued to be down on his throws, but the team refused to lose and put him under center. So Carr was in shotgun for a lot because of a finger injury. But despite his limitations, Carr on a very important play made a first down on a run, tiptoeing the sidelines, put the ball out, which always scares me. I see Derek Carr ran for a first down. And he did scramble. Eventually, Phillip Rivers ended up throwing a interception, which was taken up by Reggie Nelson. So there it was there. And so Raiders win the game. It was, let's see, the final score was, it was on the first thing. They won it in San Diego. I remember the year before we should have won it in San Diego, and we were 0-10 at that time. And of course, the next game we were 1-10 when we beat the Chiefs. But that is Captain Jack Remembers with the Raiders, and hopefully we'll get that slideshow thing squared away because it was nice. I had a really nice slideshow. Anyway, this is the end of the Silver and Black Ladies Night. I want to thank the ladies for being here. All three of them were there. So there it was. It's Peggy. Yeah, Wowza said he's talking about the Peggy being dislocated. But again, watch us tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on this channel, then 9 o'clock Eastern. In fact, at 9 o'clock, you can go from the Wild Wild West to hopefully on this channel, if not on this channel as well, on NFL Nation Live, 9 o'clock at NFL Nation Live. It's myself, it's Violator, it's Ref Guru. So you got Wild Wild West, the AFC West show at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Then at 9 o'clock, pop over on my YouTube, if all goes well, but if not, on NFL Nation Live, to the NFL Nation Live show where we look at the last week's games and we preview this week's games upcoming. So everybody take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Yarg! And now I'm going to go cough for a while. Take care.